Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're actually going to talk about two different topics. The first being, obviously, the Mall Massacre that happened in Texas yesterday, and yet another gun-free zone, which is what every Republican, I'm saying right now, right here, prefacing that shit, every Republican in office, start calling this shit out. Don't use any other fucking monikers anymore. Every time one of these massacres happens in a gun-free zone, call it out for what it fucking is. And repeal gun-free zones in this country. That's how you stop this shit, dude. You stop this shit that way, and you stop it by having constitutional carry everywhere, and actually have national constitutional carry to where people can arm themselves against this shit. And the fact that it happened in Texas, which already is a constitutional carry state, and the fact nobody was armed to stop this motherfucker except for the cop that conveniently was there doing another thing, which we'll get into that in a little bit here, is again a problem. Because I think a real lot of issues is the fact it was, again, the mall was a gun-free zone, so people were obeying the fucking laws, but it wasn't. That's the problem, dude. Stop obeying bullshit unconstitutional laws. Because the thing is, it's not even really law, honestly, dude. It's a fucking ordinance. It's the ordinance, the exact same bullshit they did with the mask mandates, dude. It's not law. It can't be fucking law because you can't enforce shit like that. Because you're not an actual government entity is what it is. And even the government entity is kind of sussy at this point, dude, honestly. Because of the fact that it's like, you know, government buildings and stuff like that you can't carry in, obviously. But the thing with that is it's like, even then, they have to provide you security. And if they don't, guess what? They're liable. And that's why you can sue the fuck out of them at this point. And that's why every single person that died there and every single person that was injured there, their family's going to sue the fuck out of that mall, dude. For being a gun-free zone at this point. That's how honestly, the center and the right win this fucking fight is what it is. You start suing the shit out of these fucking places that are gun-free zones, and you legitimately win on the spot, basically, is what it is, dude. And when there's, 50, 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 lawsuits going on against gun-free zones and stuff like that, and then you got dickhead Bloomberg and stuff on the other side trying to sue mag manufacturers and gun manufacturers and stuff like that, you know who's in the right on that one, dude. It's the people suing the fucking malls and every place else like that. Other gun-free zones is what it is, dude. The schools, etc. And honestly, at this point, I would say, especially when it happens to school massacres and stuff like that, sue the fuck out of the DOJ, dude. Sue the fuck out of the U.S. government for creating the goddamn things back in the 1990s. Seriously. Every single fucking massacre that's happened in this country in the past 30 fucking years right now is all due to pieces of shit like Joe Biden, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, etc. that all helped pass this fucking horse shit back in the 1990s, dude. That helped Bush 1 create gun-free zones back then. So every single massacre that's happened in the past 30 years in the school, in a mall, in any place that can be described as a gun-free zone is all on their fucking hands, dude. And these fuckers should be tried publicly as accessories to mass murder at this point. And I mean that seriously. Second thing we're going to talk about, obviously, is my legitimate concern. I noticed in the last couple of weeks, Guns and Barbecue hasn't really done anything. I don't know if he did a extended vacation, if he's got another issue with his brain and stuff like that, or what it is, but yeah, I'm legitimately concerned for his health at this point. You guys know about my stuff here recently. I had I'm gonna go off on this tangent for a few minutes now is what it is. And then we'll get back around to the Texas stuff again. And how they're basically trying to portray it now as right wing when the guy was a fucking gang member is what it is, dude. So anyway. But last couple of days I had a colonoscopy again. My first one in a while. Not too much happened, thankfully. Celebration of life, more or less. 7 years cancer free. That's good, obviously. And it was basically routine procedure. Not going to have another one for a few years yet. So that's good, obviously. I hate doing the prep. That prep, I'll tell you what, dude. It's not the procedure that bothers me, honestly. It's the prepping for it. It's the gallon jug of stuff you have to drink to get it done. Because it's basically you drinking that shit every, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it is. And then you're basically just like in and out of the bathroom constantly because of that. And eventually it gets to the point where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to stop this. Like, my body doesn't want this anymore kind of thing. Because you're just expelling everything is what it is. And yeah, like that's the worst part of it, dude. It's the prep. Like the procedure itself, when you're all knocked out and stuff like that, it's whatever at that point. I don't really give a fuck, because I'm not awake for it, is what it is. But yeah, it's a prepping for it is what's the problem, is what it is, man. And you would think, honestly, in 2023, like, really, we don't actually have a better way to do this procedure, to where you have to have people literally drink a gallon of junk to, flush their system and stuff like that. You couldn't have like some other way to do that, honestly. I don't know. I feel like science should catch up at this point, honestly, man. Seriously. Science and technology both should catch up to that point where you can just be able to go right through and, deal with it, is what it is then. But yeah, so good on me. 7 years cancer free. And then like I said, with Guns and Barbecue, I have no idea what's going on with him lately. You guys know about the fallout last year, I think. And, this is something that NEA brought up this week. He obviously had a little bit of, he knew a little bit of the situation because I told it to him on a back chat one time. I think he just forgot a lot of what it was. So basically what happened was, for those interested, about, when was it? Like April. Yeah, it was like early April of last year. I was sitting here doing one of these grandstands back under a different moniker at the time, and happened to be discussing some stuff and was basically going over some stories of the day and stuff like that. That was back when I used to do bearing arms stories a lot, is what it was. And happened to be reading off one about dating, is what it was. And specifically, and this is where Baron SVG and those guys coming on that, obviously. Because Baron, and this is why I could actually sue his ass for defamation and slander right now, because he created multiple videos to try to slander me after this whole situation happened. And not only that, but he completely misdescribed the situation entirely and was basically flat out lying, is what was really happening, is what it was there. Because what it was is I was actually reading an article from Bearing Arms about dating, online dating, that was directly quoting that article, is what it was. And he was sitting there falsely claiming that I was talking to people in the chat about the whole thing, is what it was then. But basically, the entire point of the matter was, there was an article on Bearing Arms like a year ago that was talking about online dating and stuff like that, and how it was supposedly climate change, not guns, that was the main point or whatever, why people wouldn't date each other and stuff like that. And that's what I call bullshit on that one. And this is the thing too, by the way, for those that slandered me last year, apparently all of them forgot that the entire point that I was trying to make in that whole little rant, is what it was this is why I won't date leftist women, and over a year later, this is why I still won't date leftist women. So there you go. But yeah, basically the whole thing was, I was discussing why I wouldn't date leftist women, discuss the founding of this country, which, for those that don't know, this country 100% was founded on Christianity by a bunch of white settlers, is what it was, dude. Our founding fathers were all a bunch of white dudes. And of course, we've become a melting pot since then, is what it is. But the thing is, it's like, if people are refusing to melt, are really a melting pot, So, there is that to talk about. And by that, I mean, obviously, Islam is the ones that won't melt most of the time, is what it is. And there's a few others too that won't, they'll try to do, clashes and stuff like that, is what it is with everybody, is what it is. I mean, hell, you look at the statistic going on recently about the various violence in this country, and you got that. I was on Twitter yesterday, actually, and there was people that were sharing it quite frequently, is what it was. And it's basically, you have the perspective thing where it's, you have the stat chart and stuff like that, where it's like, race on race crime kind of stuff. And then it's basically the media like focusing on this one little thing where it's like white on black crime, where it's like then you turn like literally two things over and you got black on white crime, and it's like fucking 20 times as much or whatever then. So anyway, the entire point of the matter is that, I obviously said that stuff, said some other stuff, was obviously trying to talk about diversity and inclusion at the time, because, that's what these leftists love to say all the time, is what it is. Obviously that came out wrong. I have, said that that's the truth, honestly, on that one. That was the autism kicking in at that time, because, unfortunately I was very tired that day. And unfortunately, when I do get tired, sometimes my autism, what should be the actual filter, whatever, what's in my mind, between my mind and my mouth, will usually catch it. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't. And, that's what came out, basically, is what it was after that. But the thing is, though, if you look at what's happening in America, especially in the last year or so now, we're seeing more and more of this, honestly, dude. We're seeing more of the clashes. We're seeing more of the downfall of this country, is what it is. And what's interesting to me is, it would have been one thing if barbecue wasn't a little bitch and actually directly called me out by name is what it is. That's the thing, right? Like, this is what's fucked up, and this is something I'm gonna talk to you right now about, because only he and I know the truth, honestly, on this one, because we talked in a back chat one time. So what happened was, after all this has happened, and by the way, I had no idea anybody had an issue with that whole thing. You know, again, it was a stream on my fucking channel that basically nobody saw. It was a couple people here and there that saw it. So, you know, that was like a Sunday or Monday. And then obviously I went to the Tuesday panel that I used to go to with barbecue and them, and, you know, was like, oh, hey, what's up? And they're like, and John basically like disowned me at that point and was like, yeah, I can't have you on the panel anymore because of that stuff and and all this other shit. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, yeah, I'll talk to you about it later, whatever the case be. So, you know, I went, I waited the whole show, went back in the back chat after the fact under a different name and stuff like that. And then it was him and Woods, who I know for a fucking fact that Brian Woods' bitch ass was the one behind trying to slander me and stuff and gave that edited clip out to Baron is what it was, dude. So, by the way, if I ever sue anybody, it's going to be Brian Woods' ass, dude. It's going to be PNW Woods. Like, that's going to be who I'm going to start suing, honestly, at some point here in the near future, if I don't get an apology by the end of this month. So, but anyway, the entire point is, though, is that you had a edited little clip out of that stream, which, by the way, the stream was taken down, so any of that clip was, like, completely fucking non-existent then is what it is, dude. And the entire point of the matter was you had it edited out of context to where it left out the entire point where I was talking about leftist women and what started the actual whole thing there, and was basically just trying to defame and slander me by claiming, oh, you're a racist, or you're, look, as Woods even said in the fucking, when he came back the next day or whatever, and put in that comment section, which I wish I had grabbed that comment section at the time and done like a screen grab of it or whatever, but I didn't get a chance to. I just, you know, was getting rid of the stream is what it was then. He legitimately called me low-key white hate. It's funny coming from a guy who is one of the biggest anti-white racists I've ever seen in my entire life as a white man, and definitely has ties to Antifa and BLM at this point. And the same thing with Barron and them, dude. I guarantee fucking all those Washington State guys, all those Oregon guys like that, G23, etc., who jumped in that mix as well. Those guys all have fucking direct ties to Antifa, dude. Fuck all those guys, legitimately. So, yeah, basically what happened was, you know, was talking to barbecue in the back chat. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, wait a few weeks or for it to die down and they'll come back on the panels or whatever then. And then it was between then, that was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, in early April of 2022. Come Thursday, he basically tries to go on this whole tirade to start out his Thursday show then. Doesn't have the balls actually calling me out by name at that point. And it's like, oh, we don't put up with white hate. And then, by the way, and this is why I do have issues with John, obviously, and why I will never be friends with him ever again. Like, even though I do have a concern for his health right now and stuff like that, just knowing that he hasn't been around for a few weeks and stuff like that, that's just me being a good person, by the way. It's just me having empathy is what it is, dude. But yeah, I will never, ever be friends with that man again. Specifically because it was weeks later, after he had Barron and company try to slander me as well, that he tried to make himself look like a victim in some fucking little video that he threw up on his own channel there. I never did watch that video. I've been told what it said and stuff like that. And he was basically trying to make someone to be the victim there, while he and others were trying to victimize me is what it is, over some fucking words. And it really does go back to the whole click thing, dude. Like, there's definitely clicks within the 2A community on this site and on this just in general, whether it be YouTube or just in general, and you know, gun ownership and stuff like in this country. And that's the problem, dude. And God forbid you say one little thing that oh my god, fucking sky is falling, when there's actual legitimate racism in this country, when there's actual real racists on this site. By the way, there's also a bunch of fucking child molesters on this site that for some reason YouTube lets go all the time. So yeah, dude, I'm gonna call that shit out when I see it. And by the way, what's even more fucked up, and this is what, like, again, why I can sue the shit out of Barron at some point, because the first video that motherfucker made to slander me was trying to accuse me of being a pedophile while I was calling out pedophiles and pedophile enablers, dude, with the shit going on in the school systems right now. School systems that my niece and nephew both are part of. So yeah, Fuck y'all, man. And that's the whole point entirely. So basically, the timeline of events goes like this. You had, when this all started back in April of 2022, you had John basically tell me in a back chat. He was like, "Oh yeah, we'll be here doing this, whatever the case be. You'll be back in a few weeks, whatever the case be." And we made an actual deal that I would come back before constitutional carry took effect here in Ohio. Then went on his whole thing that Thursday, basically saying all the shit, but not actually saying it by name. It's not actually calling him out by name or whatever the case be, because he's a fucking coward is what it is. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Fine, I'm done with this guy. Fuck this guy. I'm done with these panels. That's whatever, dude. Like, that's basically where it ended up for me, honestly. And then it was like 2 weeks later, after I thought everything was fucking good to go or whatever the case be, that Baron starts making fucking videos about me, dude. Videos that, by the way, I had at least one copyright claim because it directly stole my shit is what it is, dude. And then the other ones, I'm not sure if you ever did anything about them or if they eventually were just taken down by Barrett himself or whatever the case be when I start threatening lawsuits, which I'm still planning on doing at this point if I don't get direct apologies from these guys by May 31st. So, anyway. So, yeah, basically, that's what happened. All that stuff put me into a super depressive state. I seriously contemplated stuff because at the time, I thought I was going to have my team of direct action put in my house, dude. Legitimately. And I figured if I wasn't on this earth anymore, it wouldn't be an issue. So that was what was going through my head at the time, obviously. Thankfully, other people, some of those watching this right now, talked me off the ledge, and I'm still here. And I've actually gotten better mentally. I've gotten better mentally, I've gotten better physically. I have gotten much better overall when it comes to knowing who to trust anymore and knowing who not to trust anymore. And, there's a reason why I'm still pissed off a year later, dude. And I have a right to be at this point for what happened. Because it's not only the fact that anything, I don't care about any of those dudes, honestly, whether it be Guns and Barbecue. Like, and by that, I mean, I don't care to talk to them ever again, is what it is. Guns and Barbecue, G23, P&W Woods, Baron SVG. I don't care about any of those guys. What I do care about is the fact that they slandered me to a bunch of the other YouTube communities, what it is, dude. People like New York Outcast, who I considered a friend. People like Gizzard Gary, who I considered a friend or acquaintance anyway. People like 2 Live Moo, who I considered a friend. Those guys who I actually enjoyed speaking with. Who I have not spoken with in over a year because of these fucking douchebags. And yeah, it really does bother me, dude. That's what really does bother me, honestly, the whole thing. It's losing the connections to other people. So, yeah, needless to say, it does infuriate me. It does infuriate me quite a bit, honestly, on that one, dude. And I find it kind of ironic, too, that during all this whole thing, that karma's kind of come back to bite all 3 of these guys, or all 4 of these guys in the ass, because you've had Washington State enact gun control since then. You're now having Pennsylvania do gun control out of committees and stuff like that. You've had Oregon do gun control in the past year or so. So yeah, good job, boys, because you fucked yourselves in that situation. And meanwhile, Ohio is becoming more 2A and more 2A. Thanks to people like me, who are actually at the fucking forefront doing our jobs. Doing our jobs as 2A advocates, 2A activists, constitutionalists. And the thing of it is, when you actually look into the whole situation, what all caused that, obviously, it's a bunch of fucking bullshit, dude. It's a bunch of people who are too stupid to actually look into the fucking founding of this nation and understand what it was and what it became. And instead just want to sit there and act like, oh, let's fucking just whitewash history. Let's fucking whatever wash history then, Just like all these TV shows and movies in Hollywood now, they just keep kind of, darkening everything, it seems like. Shit, I was watching a fucking trailer for Little Mermaid the other day. The live action one they're doing now. They even fucking race swap the horse, dude. Like, there was a horse in the original Little Mermaid cartoon movie that was fucking white, and the horse is now black. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. It's like, what the fuck, Hollywood? Seriously. Like, you almost have to laugh because it's just so fucking ridiculous is what it is, man. It really is, honestly. But yeah, legitimately, though, I am concerned for barbecue's health at this point. Because again, I once considered John a very good friend, is what it was. And the fact that, he hasn't been uploading for weeks now, it does kind of scare me a little bit because I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, did something happen? Did he have another brain issue? Did he have to go and do another brain surgery is what it is? Because at the end of the day, even after the man slandered me, like, I still care about him. I still actually, for some reason, care about the man. I don't know why, honestly. Again, maybe it's because I have empathy, maybe because I'm not a fucking piece of shit is what it is, dude. And the thing of the matter is, I would just like to know if he's okay, honestly. But anyway, that's about it for that one. Obviously, going back to Texas again, then for the mall massacre. So basically, when I said about it hitting close to home and stuff like that in the title of this, I was on NEA stream last night actually for his geek chat, and one of the guys that was part of the comment section there was talking about how apparently his cousin, two of the cousin's daughters, so it'd be this guy's like second or third cousins probably, apparently were some of the victims in that mall massacre. So yeah, that's crazy, dude. It's like one of those sort of 6 degrees of separation kind of things, but in that case, it's like basically a 3 degrees of separation then. So very, very sad, very tragic. And unfortunately, again, this is why you have to be carrying, dude. This is why even in a place that is considered to be a quote unquote gun-free zone, they can't legally enforce the shit unless they have armed security everywhere is what it is, dude. And if they're not going to have that, if they're not going to be able to protect your ass, they need to be your own first responder to be able to protect yourself is what it is, legitimately. Texas is a constitutional carry state, dude. The same thing with Indiana, the same thing with Ohio. There's a reason why there was not a mall massacre in Indiana. I should say there was, but it was stopped very early because Eli Dickin, who was 22 years old at the time, was quote unquote illegally carrying in a bullshit ordinance gun-free zone mall when some motherfucker tried to commit a massacre there and he stopped the guy and killed him. Dealt with the fucking threat accordingly. That's what should have happened in Texas. Unfortunately, what happened in Texas was you had a police officer who for some reason was on another call there, which, again, that whole thing sounds kind of fishy to me just because of PSYOPs and stuff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Here's what it is. You had that guy basically stop the gunman after, however many people he shot at that point with the AR/full auto, whatever he had there. I'm not sure if it was semi or full auto, honestly, but it was some kind of an AR-15 style. It was legit AR-15, actually. As far as I could tell from the pictures, that's all. And then the guy had like full kit on too, which is even crazier, honestly. Because it seriously, the guy was geared up for war is what it is, dude. But the entire point of the matter is you had the cop stop him, and that was basically the threat was a good guy with a gun. Had there been any person there that was armed as an armed citizen, they could have actually dealt with the situation as well, is what it is. And that's the biggest problem I have with gun-free zones, dude. Because you're basically putting your fate into the hands that, there's going to be a fucking armed security guy. There's going to be an armed, off-duty cop there or whatever that's working security that day or whatever it is. But the thing is, depending on the size of the mall, because some of these malls are fucking huge, dude. I'm not sure how big this Allen Mall was there in Allen, Texas. But as far as I'm aware, it's a pretty big mall is what it is. And the thing is, even going back to the mall that I used to go to play Magic at, honestly, that was a pretty small mall by comparison, dude. Like, you could, and the thing was, too, they actually had a few armed security guys on the staff there is what it is. Because I believe one was actually an off-duty cop is what it is, and the other one was like a retired cop that became a security guard then, and they both were armed at the time. And yeah, if something did happen in that mall, like, they could have pretty much responded with deadly force pretty easily is what it is. And it wouldn't have taken that long for them to get there. It would have been maybe like 30 seconds or something. Like, yeah, you probably could have got, some gunman probably could have killed a couple people in that mall or whatever there. But like, again, he would have been stopped pretty quickly is what it is then. Versus this mall there in Texas that was like much, much bigger and, had so many more like basically outlets in it and stuff like that, that who the hell knows how long it took this guy to get there and engage and stuff. Whereas you could have had, one of the citizens that was possibly shot and or killed there that could have been the person engaging and could have, shot the fucking gunman in the leg or the neck or the head or whatever it was, dude. Got off a lucky shot there is what it is. And that's the thing, dude. When you look at most of these things and most of these people that are behind this shit, the second that they're engaged with gunfire, they run like fucking cowards. They're pussies. That's what it is, dude. The entire fucking point of the matter is they are trying to get as big a body count as possible, so they're always going to gun-free zones to do it, is what it is. And the big thing there is when you allow for gun-free zones to exist, where at minimum 97.8% of all shootings happen in, and that's just a stat that's been around for, again, since basically they created gun-free zones back in the 1990s. It's like since the early 2000s or so, people started doing that stat is what it is. And I'm sure it's probably more, not even now. I'm sure it's probably more like 99%, honestly, at this point. But the entire point of the matter is, when you look at the uptick in all these situations, and then you start looking into the other stuff that's happening now, and it sort of makes sense why this would happen now, especially if it was a government psyop, which is what we're going to get to right now. So basically, if this is in fact a government psyop, which is what it kind of looks like it is now, based on the stuff I was looking at here from Reddit and stuff like that, where you had Biden calls on Congress to act after Texas Mall Massacre. Quote, such an attack is too shocking to be so familiar, says the guy who helped create gun-free zones back in the 1990s, by the way. And you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, sidesteps gun issue, blames Texas mall shooting on evil forces, drugs, and some other stuff. And there's a couple other ones here as well. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So this one I'm actually going to go ahead and show. You got to love this, by the way. Because, by the way, the dude who committed this was Latino. He was legitimately Hispanic. Yet somehow, being Hispanic, law enforcement investigating Texas mall shooters' possible link to white supremacy. What? The fuck? Like, what? Nah, bro. He had a fucking Mexican gang tattoo on his fucking hand. So, yeah, just fucking ridiculous. And then we got that one. Said, mental illness, drugs, and evil forces are to blame for Texas mall shooting. Actually, it's the fact it was a gun-free zone as well. They're Marjorie Taylor Greene. Then we got people said, spare us your prayers. Ted Cruz faces backlash after Texas mall shooting, killing 8. Congressman slammed for prayers comment after mall shooting. Then we got audio release moments after officer made frantic request for backup moments before taking down Texas mall shooter. Texas mall shooting prompts Biden to call for new gun control. And again, then they're lying about the 200th fucking massacre there, which again only makes sense when you're creating every fucking thing and calling gang shootings in this country massacres, and calling people that are shot, 3 blocks from a fucking school a school shooting, basically, is what it is. In most cases, what they're doing. That's how Bloomberg and them create those stats, by the way. So the entire point of the matter is, when I talk about psyops, there'd be 3 reasons why they would do this as a psyop right now. Reason number 1, Title 42 is ending this week. Reason number 2, because of Title 42 ending, you have a fuck ton of caravans of illegals trying to cross our border right now, and are just waiting for the end of Title 42 to happen so they can jump our fucking borders and invade our country, is what it is. Reason number 3 is to push gun control and disarm the American people, because their fucking actual end game for these sick fuckers like Biden, like Pelosi, etc., is democide, is death by government. The only way they can pull that off, the only way they can go full Hitler on us, is if we're disarmed. And that's never going to fucking happen. Never going to fucking happen, ever. If anything, that's going to make us buy more guns and arm up more people and legitimately get friends and family to buy guns and actually have them be armed then, and have all of us be the real militia in this country then. The militias that our founding fathers always intended to be. So, anyway, that's pretty much what the fucking end games are, dude. So, I don't know if this is a psyop or not, but it makes sense it would be, honestly, especially when you got Biden already calling for gun control. Like I said, it would be a distract away from Title 42 ending and, the huge foreign invasion happening in our country right now. Which, by the way, if you actually look at all the people that were jumping the border in the last couple of days, actually, who is it? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a bunch of fighting age males that are 100% a foreign standing army, is what it is. And one of many foreign standing armies in this country. So, at the end of the day, it's like, what better reason than to do another massacre in this country than to distract away from the fact that you have a piece of shit, fake ass administration trying to create foreign invasions in our country. And the fact that nobody really wants to talk about that and nobody really wants to admit there's foreign standing armies on our country soil is why I will. Because that's truth at the end of the day. And the crazy part is, I would say at this point, there's got to be at least one foreign standing army in every single state in this country, just based on the fact of how many people have jumped our borders illegally and how many people are currently fighting age males in these various caravans and stuff like that. So, yeah, not a good thing at all, man. Not a good thing at all. And it's interesting because then you start looking over in other European countries and stuff like that, whether it be United Kingdom or Britain or France or Sweden or whatever the case be, where you have all those economic migrants over there and stuff like that. And legitimately, it's the same thing there. It's a bunch of foreign standing armies that are being created because almost every single one of these rafts that are coming onto these people's shores and stuff like that, it's all a bunch of dudes. There's never any women. There's never any children. It's all a bunch of fighting age men. It's all a bunch of fighting age men between the ages of roughly, give or take, 14 or 15 to mid 30s, mid 40s is what it is. And then again, you obviously have the ones that are like, 25, 30 years old and they're faking to be like a fucking 12 to 14-year-old kid because they're like, oh, we can go here as an unaccompanied minor then. And sadly, it's worked a couple times over there in the UK and stuff like that until they were found out a few years later and being like, no, this guy's actually like a 37-year-old man or something like that. And then they're like, yeah, it was pretty stupid to house him with like some random family then. Something just fell. Sorry about that. Some shit just fell beside me. Not sure what it was. I think it was something off the table there. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is, though, Texas should have been stopped by an armed citizen, not a cop. There should have been a bunch of armed citizens that are carrying. Next to nobody should be dead in that mall. It's very sad, very tragic that at least 8 people have lost their lives so far because of this whole thing. And again, it just goes back to the continued fear mongering and totalitarian bullshit of the federal government right now. So, anyway, that's about where we're at for the day. Oh shit, I didn't realize it was almost 8 o'clock now. Yeah, I got some stuff I gotta go do real quick. I didn't expect this to be this long, actually. I literally just realized that I should have been doing some stuff like 10 minutes ago is what it is, just to finish off a couple things here, but unfortunately it didn't happen. That's what it is, honestly. But yeah, needless to say, we are in 100% right now a weird flux in this country to where people are definitely trying to incentivize and incite various things, attacks against our constitutional republic, continued attacks against our actual, uh, religions and stuff like that. 100% attacks against Christianity in this country, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, it's been over a month now, and they still have yet to release the fucking transgender manifesto from Nashville there. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Very fucked up in general. Yeah, they still have yet to release that shit. So, anyway. That being said, like I said, I will pray for the people that died in this situation because, I am a good Christian man, is what I consider myself right now. And I will legitimately, pray for their families and hope their families can get, past this tragic event that should never have occurred, is what it is. And unfortunately, until people are going to arm up and start carrying and start, defending themselves from, potential criminals, nothing's ever really going to change, is what it is. Until we actually, repeal these unconstitutional bullshit laws in place right now, nothing's ever really going to change. It's always going to remain the same. It's always going to be a bunch of fuckery because it's always going to be a bunch of fucknuts that continue to be in power when they shouldn't be. And that's the biggest problem right now with our country currently is you have a bunch of people who are in power for, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in most cases, dude. And it's like, at what point do we say, no, enough is enough? Like, get your old ass the fuck out of office. And I feel like that's definitely starting to come right now. I feel like people are definitely starting to wake up to that fact. And I think we're definitely in for some interesting times ahead. And I think we're definitely in for some people finally waking up and realizing it's time to run for office ourselves. And it's exactly why I plan on running for county commissioner next year. And hopefully, if we stay together as a country up through 2026, I do plan on using that commissioner's run as a way to run for Ohio governor in 2026 then. So, anyway, that's pretty much my 3-year plan, give or take, right now. And I got some other stuff I'm going to do in the meantime as well. Just, fight for the rights here in Ohio and hopefully help some other pro 2A orgs and stuff like that get the SOPA legislation all the way through the state house and be able to get our state to become a Second Amendment Preservation Act then. But who knows? Hopefully it'll happen. Do I think it will happen? Yeah, it all depends. I think there's a chance. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't want to do their jobs, and there's far too many people that are not incentivized enough to want to do their jobs like that because they're either getting bought and paid for by, outside forces or whatever the case be, or they just don't give a shit about your gun rights is what it is. And they don't give a shit about their own oath to office for that matter as well on top of that. And that's a big problem, honestly, for people like me. When you have these individuals who don't care, who've never cared, who just want to fuck off and be a bunch of assholes and take away people's rights and take away people's abilities to defend ourselves and protect ourselves and our families and stuff like that. Y'all shouldn't be in office anymore. It's as simple as that, dude. That's exactly what we need to have a 20th Amendment to the Constitution for automatic disqualification on office and from running for office. When you're attacking the Second Amendment as somebody who is trying to run for office, has never been in office before, you're a pre-oath breaker and you should be immediately thrown out of the fucking running based on that alone. If you are a individual who is attempting to do these things as someone who is already in office, you need to be tossed out of office and arrested for the various crimes you're committing, including deprivation of rights or code of law is what it is. So, anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I will be back at some point in the near future. Not sure exactly when. Most likely I'll be on Honda's chat tonight, as long as he has one. Unlike last week where he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a chat, and then just didn't do one. So, which again, that's on him, man. That's it's whatever, honestly. I was hoping to be part of that, but unfortunately it didn't happen because he admitted it after the fact. He's like, yeah, he fell asleep and just woke up like hours later is what it was, and decided to game instead of being in there doing stuff, which makes sense, obviously, if you're in that weird flux state of being half asleep, half awake or whatever, your mind will go to the ability of having a functional brain enough to be able to like default game and stuff like that, but you'll not have an actual functioning brain to be able to go and do comprehensive thought for various chat or whatever for hours and stuff like that. I say that obviously as somebody who just woke up like an hour and a half ago, so and plus I'm all distracting myself right now by gaming partway through this chat, obviously. And I'd like to thank this game actually because if it wasn't for Walking Dead Survivors last summer, again, it was one of the things that kept me distracted away from everything going on with everything the past year or so. So, fun game if you've never played it. I've obviously done some chats here with it before where we've talked about it there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, though. I'm sure we'll see more come out of this Texas Mall in the coming days, honestly. Obviously you're going to have the media try to narrative it to being a white guy, or in reality it was a Latino dude that committed it. And most likely had gang ties. And I'm sure given on, the fact that CNN, people like that, mainstream media, fake news and stuff like that loves to selectively edit shit out is what it is, dude. They've done skin lightning and stuff like that before, these people, and they've done, various shit where they can just take like a tattoo on somebody's hand and disappear it basically through editing and stuff like that. Wouldn't surprise me if they tried to pull that shit, honestly, in the next day or two for that, if they haven't already at this point. So, but yeah, to me, it's just fucking disgusting to see when real change could be made and the people that could make that real change refusing to make that real change because either A, they're behind the shit, or B, they are just complete scumbags who hate this country and love to shit on America. And I'm not okay with that, man. Not okay with that. Not okay with that. Not okay with those people. Never been okay with any of it. And when it's all said and done, I believe that we will definitely be in a situation very, very soon where you will actually have a lot of people waking up to the fact that we are definitely being controlled. We are definitely being censored. And that a lot of this shit is just government run psyops, is what it is. And when you finally wake up to that fact and you finally realize what's actually happening here, then you know that there is a lot of good that can be done to stop these fucking evil people. And it's at that point in time in history where you actually have good finally combating evil, is what it is. And it's only then that you'll actually have good, honest, hardworking people doing their job to get into office and to stop these evil, evil, evil individuals from continuing to be in power. And that's all I'm gonna say about the end of the day. And like I said, going back to the barbecue situation and stuff like that, I do pray for John's health. I really hope that he can get his stuff worked out there. Hopefully he's in a good situation right now. I don't know. But hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully we'll see, the end of something. And hopefully, we'll see him back doing his shows, is what it is. But other than that, that's where I'm at for the day. And like I said, I'll be back for another grandstand at some point here. I'm not sure exactly when. Probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, depending. It all depends. Sometimes I will do them, sometimes I won't do them. Sometimes I'll just, end up having to do some stuff myself for family stuff or appointments or whatever the case be that get me distracted away, or gaming and stuff. So who knows? But anyway, I do have some stuff I got to work on though. I want to get back and doing Fishing Fridays again too, by the way. So anyway, we are definitely going to be back at some point though for some stuff, and we're definitely going to keep fighting for Second Amendment stuff here, is what it is, dude. Keep fighting for the rights of the people. Keep fighting for the good fight against the scumbag criminals here, against the abortionists here, etc., that want to continue to destroy our country and destroy our livelihoods and everything else like that. So anyway, that's it for the day. Hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next one.